Have you ever been sitting in a room full of people? Maybe friends, family, or co-workers. Everyone is talking. Everyone seems connected, but somehow, you feel invisible. You smile when you're supposed to. You nod along in conversations. You say I'm fine when someone asks how you're doing. But deep inside, there's a quiet thought that keeps returning. No one really understands me. It's a strange feeling, because from the outside, your life might look completely normal. You have people around you. You have conversations every day. You even laugh sometimes. Yet somehow, it still feels lonely. Not the kind of loneliness where you're physically alone, but the kind where it feels like no one truly sees who you are. If you've ever felt this way, you're not strange. You are not dramatic. You're experiencing something very human. And there's a quiet psychological reason why this feeling appears in so many lives. Imagine a young man sitting in a small coffee shop after work. Around him, the place is full of life. Friends laughing at a nearby table, a couple quietly sharing stories, someone typing on a laptop in the corner. Everything feels normal. But he keeps scrolling through his phone, staring at messages that don't really say much. Sounds good. Lol. Yeah, maybe sometime. The conversations feel empty, not bad, just surface level. Earlier that day, he tried to explain something to a friend, something that had been bothering him for weeks. At first, the friend listened politely, but halfway through explaining it, he noticed something. The friend nodded, but their eyes had already drifted toward their phone. So, he stopped talking. He laughed it off and changed the subject. Moments like that happen more often than people realize. You try to explain something meaningful, but people misunderstand, or they respond with quick advice. Don't overthink it. Everyone goes through that. They usually mean well, but somehow their words make you feel even more misunderstood. So the next time, you share a little less. You keep certain thoughts to yourself. You talk about work, about movies, about small everyday things, but the parts of you that actually matter. Stay quiet, and over time, a quiet belief begins forming inside your mind. Maybe no one will ever really understand me. Psychologists often talk about something called subjective reality. It simply means that every person experiences the world through their own unique lens. Your memories, your upbringing, your personality, your fears, and your dreams, they all shape the way you interpret life. Two people can go through the exact same event and walk away with completely different emotional experiences. Imagine two people moving to a new city. One might feel excited, adventurous, and hopeful. The other might feel anxious, lonely, and overwhelmed. Same situation. Two completely different inner worlds. This is the quiet challenge of human communication. When you try to explain how you feel, you're translating a very complex inner experience into just a few simple words. But words are limited. They can't fully carry the depth of what you feel, and the person listening interprets those words through their own life experiences. Even when someone sincerely wants to understand you, their mind automatically fills in the gaps using their own story. This doesn't mean people don't care. It just means that no two minds work exactly the same way. Another factor to consider is something called emotional vocabulary. Many people were never taught how to talk about emotions in a deep way. They might feel empathy, but they don't always know how to express it. So instead of saying something supportive like, "That sounds really heavy. I can see why you feel that way," they might say something quick like, "It'll be okay." Not because they don't care, but because they don't know how to go deeper. And when you're the one feeling misunderstood, it can feel like a wall between you and everyone else. But here's the part many people don't realize. Feeling misunderstood doesn't always mean that no one understands you. Sometimes, it simply means that your inner world is more complex than the conversation allowed. But there's another side to this story, one that many people discover over time. No one will ever understand you completely, not your closest friend, not your partner, not even someone who has known you for years. And strangely, that's not a flaw in human connection. It's part of what makes each person unique. Inside every human mind exists a private universe of thoughts, memories, emotions, and meanings. Some parts of that universe will always belong only to you. But connection doesn't require perfect understanding. Sometimes the most meaningful connections happen when someone simply sits beside you and says, "I may not fully understand, but I'm here." Real understanding often grows slowly, through many imperfect conversations, through curiosity, through patience, through people who are willing to listen a little longer. Something else changes when you begin understanding yourself more clearly. When you learn to describe your own emotions honestly, self-awareness becomes a bridge. It allows others to see parts of your inner world that words alone couldn't fully explain, and over time, you may notice something surprising. Many of the people around you are quietly carrying the same feeling. The friend who seems distant, the coworker who rarely shares personal thoughts, the family member who struggles to express emotions. They might also wonder if anyone truly understands them. Feeling misunderstood is, in fact, one of the most shared human experiences, even if few people say it out loud. So if you've ever felt like no one truly understands you, take a quiet moment to remember this. Your inner world is complex. Your thoughts, your emotions, your experiences, they're shaped by a life no one else has lived. That uniqueness can sometimes make you feel separate from others, but it also means there's depth inside you, depth that the right people will appreciate. Understanding is rarely instant. It unfolds slowly between two people who are willing to listen. So instead of believing that no one will ever understand you, maybe the truth is simpler. Your story just hasn't met the right listeners yet, and somewhere in the world, there are people who will hear parts of your story and recognize pieces of their own. And in those quiet moments, the invisible distance between people becomes a little smaller, not all at once, but gently, one conversation at a time.